Hey folks, Matt from artoftheimage.com. I'm just checking out DxOMark because they have DxO marked the, I guess that's a word now because I've seen it written. Anyways, the FZ1000 from Panasonic has been evaluated, and they've got the comparison data up against the Sony RX10. And I mean, basically their headline is that the two are equivalent. That's what they say. Panasonic Lumix FZ1000 versus Sony DSC RX10 equivalent. Now, we're talking about the sensor here. They both have the 1-inch sensor, probably a very similar sensor. I know it's very similar spec. I don't know that it's actually made from the same people, but very similar. The differences here, we've got a 69 rating on the RX10 and a 64 rating on the FZ1000, which is interesting because out of all the rankings, I think the FZ1000 pulls ahead where it's more important. And it gets a 517 on the high ISO, the sports low light ISO value, whereas we get 474 for the RX10 in the low light, which is, it's not a huge difference, but it's not just a couple of points. It's giving the nod to the FZ1000. In other words, it's probably going to perform better in low light. We've got 11.7 versus 12.6 for dynamic range, which is very close. So the 11.7 to the FZ1000, the RX10 wins by a point there. And 22.1 versus 22.9 for portrait color depth. Very close on the other factors, which you're probably not going to notice so much when you're looking at these. What you will notice is low light performance, and especially in video, which is very important to keep the grain down in video, which we have to remember the FZ1000 does 4K and the RX10 doesn't. So the FZ1000, you can expect to get better high ISO images and better high ISO video out of it than you can in the RX10. And that's where I think that the numbers don't exactly say on the overall scores here, because they're giving the nod to the RX10 by a few points over the FZ1000. But when you look at the breakdowns, the FZ1000 is significantly beating the RX10. Not by huge numbers, but enough numbers there that I think it's going to be noticeable somewhat comparing the two, probably almost more so in video than in our JPEGs or in our raw footage. Because you have to remember that video is, unless you're shooting raw video, which not a lot of people do, you're getting kind of JPEG style pre-cooked images. It's like if you took a bunch of JPEGs, strung them together and made your movie, because that's essentially what it's doing. You don't have that latitude to edit like you do in a raw photo in most video files. So I would take the FZ1000 for video over the RX10. A, because it's got the 4K, and B, because it's going to be better in low light. So what I'm reading out at DxOMark here is that that's a second reason why the FZ1000 is better than the RX10 for video. What do you guys think? Do you agree with me? Put some comments below, and we'll have a discussion on it. Have a look at the DxOMark reports and see what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you not? I think these cameras, both these cameras, an essential function of them is video, and I think that's where the FZ1000, FZ1000 is excelling over the RX10. Let me know. Let's talk about it down below. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon with some more videos, some more articles. Keep up to date with what's going on in the world of photography, videography, and technology right here at artoftheimage.com. Thanks a lot, folks.